Hi, friend. How are you guys?
Good. Everybody was just telling me what they had for dinner, and so I was reading through all of their dinner.
Somebody had crab cakes. Like, I'm trying to come to your house.
I'm trying to tell you,
Dang.
fancy. I saw a whole bunch of good stuff.
Right. Flaming
Yes.
hot chicken. I'll be over right away.
Good stuff. Alfredo, shrimp. What was it? Chicken and Alfredo. Taco Tuesday. What did you have for dinner?
I like your hair like that.
Thank you, girl.
Yeah, that's cute.
What did you have for dinner?
We made tacos. Well, we like meal prepped, so I kind of had like a little bit of everything, when meal prepping, I kind of eat smorgasbord it up.
For Taco Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, guys, this is Kelsey Thornton. You guys probably have we have a lot of new people on here. So some of you guys probably have no idea who this is. Some of y'all like, my girl got somebody in here saying, what she say, friend? Did you know Brittany? Y'all best friends out in these streets.
Oh,
yeah. But I'm going to do something so different tonight because I talked about, I know you and I had a conversation about color, so I'm going to ask you about colors here in a little bit, but I want to ask your story in a different way. So instead of you just telling your story, I'm going to ask about certain parts of your story. I was making it very clear to the squad today that you have a story. I don't care if you just started today, you have a story. And you have to be willing to open up your mouth and share it, and you'll be more vulnerable. You might not be as vulnerable as I am right now in my story, but my story is not where it was when I first started. And I maybe didn't share as much as I did when I first started because I was still living it out. Yep. So I'm going to have you answer my questions, and we're going to just take it from here.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Would you just pray to open us up?
I would. And I was not trying to be disrespectful, but I actually love this because it's just like aligning so many things for me. And I want to read you guys something as well, real quick. If you will let me, if I can find it real quick.
Do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And how was Arizona?
Oh my gosh, it was like so much stuff that I didn't even know that I needed.
Oh, good.
Okay. So this says, I'm going to find it because this is something that was so pertinent to what you just said.
Okay. I got time. You got it.
Here we go.
Okay.
Psalm 78:4. We will tell the next generation of the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, his power, and the wonders he has. There are two myths that we tend to believe about our stories. The first is that they're about us. And the second is that because they're about us, they don't matter.
Wow.
But they're not only about us, and they matter more than ever right now. When any of us who have been transformed by Christ, tell our own stories, we're telling the story of who God is. I bet God has done something in your life that would make our hair stand on end if you told us about it. I bet the story God has written in your life, in your home, gives voice and breath and arms and legs to the gospel every bit as much as a church sermon ever did. Preaching is important, certainly, but it can't be the only way we allow God's story to be told in our midst. There is nothing small or inconsequential about our stories. There is nothing, in fact, bigger. And when we tell the truth about our lives, the broken parts, the secret parts, the beautiful parts, then the gospel comes to life. An actual story about redemption instead of abstraction and theory and the things you learn in Sunday school.
That is so on point. Like, go ahead and pray, girl.
Dear Lord, we thank you so much. I thank you so much for Rachel. I thank you so much for every single person on this team. And I ask that you just open our hearts, Lord, tonight to hear from you. And I ask that you speak through me, Jesus, to let one thing just imprint people's hearts forever, not just in the business, but in their relationship with you and in the relationship with their families and in the relationship that we have with our business. Jesus, I just am so grateful for the divine appointments that you've made to connect Rachel and I, the easy friendship that we have. And I just appreciate so much, Jesus, all that you've done for us, but all that you are currently doing. We know that you're doing so much behind the scenes that we can't even see, that we don't even notice. And even when we don't feel it, you're working. Even when we don't see it, you're working. And we're so grateful that you don't ask us to understand, you just ask us to trust. And so I ask that you would just fill us with faith, that you would just fill us with just that we would just trust, and that we would have faithfulness, and we wouldn't concentrate on the hustle, that we would concentrate on the faithfulness. We love you so much, Jesus, in your name. Amen.
Yes, amen. Come on, you better pray. All right, cool. All right, so first question is, how did It Works find you?
It Works found me through just a season in my life where I felt lost. I felt like, this isn't what I thought my life would be. And I felt as if there was something more that God was nudging me to. And I didn't even know that it was God at that time. I've always had a relationship, or I've always known who God is. Right. Like, I've always known what God has done, what the story of Jesus. I grew up, going to a Catholic church, being in a Catholic school, but I didn't know God. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't know him. And so when I was feeling this urge of like, this can't be it. Like, this can't be it. Like, this is not like what all that God has called me to, or all that is for me. And I just started to feel unrest in my soul, is like the best way for me to describe it. But really, it came out at that point as frustration. And I think that I was frustrated with how much I was getting paid at my job. I was frustrated with, the fact that we weren't having a savings account. I was frustrated because I felt like I worked really hard and I wasn't getting compensated for the value that I was bringing. And so it found me in a season where I was just really hungry for something else. And I was a new mom. And I think having a baby humbles you.
Oh, yeah.
And it forces you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Mm. And because it's not just about you anymore, it's actually like another human is dependent on you. And I also think that it took a lot of my independence away. Mm. And I needed to find something at that point that allowed me, that was like mine. Like, not like, these chicken nuggets ain't yours. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like when you're a mom, like you're sharing everything. Nothing is yours. My boobs aren't mine. My body's not mine. Like, nothing is mine. And I wanted, like, selfishly to have something to where my confidence would be elevated.
Stored? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It would be elevated. Yeah. So I think that's how it found me, but it found me through Facebook on like a practical thing. Like, it found me, I had been watching Erin Tweed for a little bit, and I wasn't even friends with her, to be honest, on Facebook. I was actually friends with Kyle. And Kyle was being tagged in all of her posts. Oh, yeah. And so I remember she had earned a $25,000 double diamond bonus. And I saw that post, and I was like, that is close to what I'm making in a year. And that's just unacceptable. Like, I got to get a piece of the pie, right? Like, I got to get a piece of the pie. And I just felt like I don't really know that much. I'm not and I think I said this on plenty of Zooms probably, but there's a quote in a book that I read, and it says, when you crave the result so badly, the process becomes irrelevant.
That's good, because that's real.
And I think I was at a point where it was like, I don't care what the process is, but I know that I want a different result than what I'm getting. So yeah. I could have made the same excuses I hear a lot of people make now that I talk to, of, I'm not qualified. I don't have experience in that. I don't know as many people as you do. Or I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to post like that. Girl, I was taking pictures of the wall before this. Okay. Like, my Instagram was crap. I had 300 followers. Like, I had no clue what I was doing. Like, even when I first started and I look back on some of my posts, I'm like, girl, like, this is kind of embarrassing, like, but the cool thing is there is authenticity in sucking at first.
Yes, there is.
Because if you hop in and then all of a sudden you're posting like you're an Instagram blogger from day one, people are like, that's not her. That's not her. And so there was like a progression that people who knew me followed me through. And so that's kind of how it found me. And I jumped all in. And I remember before joining, I asked Erin, I said, I've seen people do businesses like this before and haven't necessarily had a ton of success. Like, what makes you more successful than other people? Like, I asked her that before I joined the business because I needed to know. And she said, honestly, I just share my adventure and I took quitting off the table.
Off the table.
And I said, and she said, you know, at that time there was like the big push of like, give us a year and we'll change your life. Like that was like a big motto. And so she said that to me and I said, girl, I'm really impatient and I don't have a year, but I'll give you 6 months. And I said that, but I said, I'm going to give 6 months. Like, I'm not going to do it like in and out and a couple, like, oh, I forgot to post today. Like that wasn't it. It was like, I'm giving you 6 months. But what that did for me mentally was it didn't allow me to get disappointed in a paycheck until I was 6 months in.
That's good.
And so I just said, because I'm just doing it for 6 months because that's what I told myself I was going to do. So I don't care really what I get paid until that 6 months comes, and then I'm going to reevaluate.
It's good. So it's crazy. You actually answered my one and two. So I separated them for them, but you answered my one and two. So my second question was, what was life like when It Works found you? And it kind of goes together with how you found it, because you remember how you felt when this opportunity was presented to you, especially when you achieved the success that you have achieved. You like when you really sit and think about where you were and where you are now, like a lot of times I don't know that we allow ourselves to truly sit in that, because if you really thought about it, and if you never saw her post on social media, what would life be like? Like, where would you be? And so when I have those moments where I really sit and think about it, I'm just so grateful, and it just makes me even more grateful that I get to do this. You know what I'm saying?
100%, 100%. And that's a perspective that, um, it's easy to lose sight of. And I think, we get into comparison mode, and even this weekend I've done some major self-reflecting of like, no wonder I haven't hit my goals this year. Like, I need to eat a piece of humble pie, like I have fallen into traps that I've never thought that I would have fallen into. And I'm so thankful for Jesus's grace and his gentleness and how he reveals those things, because if it was me, like I would have cussed myself out. You know what I mean? And I think that we just have to realize that this is such a process of just becoming. It's not a destination. And I think that yes, the achievements are great. And like, I can sit here and I can say like, oh my God, it was everything. It was everything to go ambassador. But like the truth of the matter is like, the process of going ambassador was the fire to refine me, and me becoming who I want to be was everything. It's not the title, right? It was just me becoming the person that I used to be jealous of.
Yes.
And I'm not done. I'm not sitting here saying I'm a perfect person by any means, but like you said, like where I've come from. And Stephen Furtick did a series, and I don't even know what it was called, but I just remember one point in the series and I was like on the floor. Like I was like, whoa, this is good, because he said we all are here and we know what this next point is. Right? We every day we're looking at the gap between where we are and where we want to be, where we are and where we want to be. We have a vision board, we have a dream board, we have goals, we have ambitions. Like that part is just society, right? And so we know this, but this is the gap. But what we forget about is the gap from here to here, where we were to where we are now. And when we can appreciate both is when we can truly walk in peace beyond understanding.
That is so good. That is so good. It's so good. I'm not even gonna say anything about it. All right, give me five because of It Works. Five.
Because of It Works, I have grown into a person that I inspire myself. And I know that sounds really like narcissistic, but what I want to clarify that, because I think that sometimes we forget to be our own cheerleaders, and I can say and I have said before that I live for an audience of one and haven't actually done that. And I think like I was looking left and looking right, and I think that like I want to be somebody that like I'm proud of,
Mm.
and that I can say I can seek Jesus's approval more than I'm seeking Mark or Cammie's or Pam's approval. And for me, that's what makes me proud. And that's what inspires me. Now, have I fallen into the other traps of like, I really want to get named top enroller, or like, and I'm not saying that like that's a bad thing, but like when that becomes more important or out of order, then that's a very slippery slope to go into. And so for me, that is something, that's what I mean when I say that. Like, I want to be inspiring to myself. Like, I don't want it to be like I'm constantly striving for something that I wasn't called to. Right. And so that's what I mean by that. But I didn't want it to come across as narcissistic as it sounds. Because of it works. I get to choose the time that I spend with my kids. Because of it works, I get to put my marriage first. Because of it works, I'm able to help other people see their purpose and introduce them to Jesus. And because of it works, I have a stronger relationship with Jesus than I ever would have.
So here's the thing. Money does not buy those things, but it's the money that gives you the freedom to be able to do them. And that's the crazy thing. Like, I remember when I first was going, it was like, well, I mean, you draw people in for the money. Like, I mean, granted, people understand, like, you need an extra $500, whatever. But when you draw people in that just want money, they may leave you for just money.
Mm-hmm.
But when you draw people in that truly see the change and transformation in your life because you share it, they're like, I want that. Oh my God, look how her husband looks at her. Oh my God, look at her kids. Like, they actually like her. You know what I'm saying? Like, her kids actually listen to her. She listens to her kid. Like, I want that. And not understanding that money is what gives you the freedom to be able to have that. So I just found that so amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think so often, like, it's okay. Like, I started out for money.
Yeah.
And I think that I've learned that, like, if people join for money, I just want them to join me because I know that I'm able to show them a different way. And so I'm not opposed to, like, I'm not saying like to attracting people with money, because I know that that is like, not everybody is where I'm at, not everybody's where you're at. And like sometimes what's happening is like we can only see what's right in front of our face because we're so deep in the forest and we're struggling, and it's like that's never what God meant for us, but it's easy to see that when we're where we are.
Yes.
But I also remember what it was like when I wasn't here.
Right.
And so like that grace of like, oh, like they seem money hungry, which I seemed money hungry when I joined, but my hunger was deeper than the money. Right. And but like it took time to grow that. It took time, and like it takes time. So like for me, and like this was a revelation that I've had this, just even this past weekend of like, dang, like, am I really free? Like, what I have to like really ask myself that, or have I become a slave to the business? And those are things like for me, like, okay, I love to host my prayer Zooms every morning, but like God has been telling me like, you gotta like check yourself on some of this stuff that you're saying you're free from, like, because at the end of the day, what me hosting that prayer Zoom, and it's fine and it's great, but like I have people on my team that are fully capable of hosting once a week, right? But I'm not doing that. I wasn't doing that. And then the freedom for me to take my kids to school, I wasn't doing that. And so like I've had, and like, so why I'm saying all this to you guys is not to say that, it's just to say, so often people will blame the business for things like this, and they'll say, oh, well, like the business is just like, I'm just hustling, and I feel like I only do the business, or like I own, like the business is taking over my life. No, you're allowing it to take over your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's you. That's on you. That's on you not creating boundaries. That's on you not having like a time management. That's on you. You can have it all, but you have to decide that you create those boundaries so that the business doesn't run you.
That's good. That's so good. That's good. We're gonna have to talk after this because I'm already knowing what Alyssa was on. I had a conversation with her, so
Yeah, it
I'm gonna have
was.
to call Aaron too because I'm gonna have to hear all y'all Brittany Landrum. Let me hear
I
y'all.
must tell you,
Oh, I'm
it was
already knowing. After I know, I
well,
got
like, yeah,
ideas.
like I just want, like, I have this totally different vision now, of like, I want to show people that you don't have to enroll 127 million distributors a month. Like, that is not like, and I know that that's like how corporate rewards people or acknowledges people or, puts them on a pedestal of that. And that's great. And you know what? More power to you. But like, I also know that the order Jesus told me to live is him, my husband, my kids, and then my business. And if that's out of order, then he's not giving me people to bless because I'm not leading them in the right way.
You sure right. That order of hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, man.
All right. Tell me where you're going. Where are you going? Where's this business going to take you?
This business, I think for me, it's interesting. I feel like I've done this like kind of full circle thing. And I have really feel like I've like closed out phase one of like what this business has done for me in like a weird way. But moving into phase two, I think for me, this business is just it's such a blessing. And it's, oh my, like, I'm so grateful for this business. I'm so grateful for it. And I really want what we do is to, like, my team and our vision for 2021 is to show people that, you don't have to live on your phone, that God will bless you abundantly when you have the order right. And this is truly a ministry for us. And I want people to see that, at the end of the day, you have to define success. And I want it to be just a different way of running the business. I don't want the hustle. I want it to be the faithfulness of, I'm working in faith. I'm always working in faith. And I'm all like, that's what I want. And I think that, I'm not exactly sure how that is going to play out. But I do know that I feel more aligned than I've ever felt. And I feel more at peace than I have felt in a really long time. And I think, you know, the wave of the stress, and can we just be honest, there is, this is a business, drop a one if you have been in the season where you feel like, I'm not doing enough. No matter how much I do, I just feel like I'm not doing enough. Like, I've been in that season so many times, and I feel like, dang, like, I'm exhausted. Like, I'm exhausted, and I don't want to work my business in exhaustion and to exhaustion, because it is such a blessing. And a blessing isn't supposed to exhaust you. It's supposed to give you energy. It's supposed to give you life. And I've been abusing the blessing. And I think that, like, I really want to shift that, because, and I like was sobbing on my leadership Zoom yesterday, just like telling my team that, like, I'm so sorry. Like, and and here's the thing is, it's not that I didn't know better, because I feel like I did. I just didn't recognize how bad it was, you know? And I think that it's very easy in this business, especially when you see success, to become your own God. And to put yourself like on this pedestal, because that's almost kind of what we're trained to do, in a sense of like, hey, look at me, look at my success, look at this, look at what I've done, look at what I've built. And it's hard to like separate that and say, like, look at what God has done through me. Well, look at what God is doing. Like, this is this. And I've, you know and I've said that, and then I've fallen back, and then I've said that, and then I've kind of like gotten into this seesaw. And so I just think that, like, I want to lead that way. I want to be unapologetic about my faith. I want to be, like, that's where the business is taking me.
I want to be a part of the money squad.
I do.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I can't even talk. Okay. So I just texted Alyssa and I said, so Kelsey's doing my tips from the top. And baby, you got the breakthrough you were looking for. It's crazy. You know, I took my sabbatical in September. And oh my God, I didn't want to do it. Like, it was so weird. It was so weird. I told my team on August 30th. And it was crazy. I was on with my leaders. We have a meeting every morning where we send out emails to the clients and things like that, new distributors. And we were on there, and I was like, okay, I just really feel like God is telling me that I'm not supposed to take a week off. I'm supposed to take the whole month. And they just sitting there looking at me like, so are you gonna do it? Like, are you gonna be obedient? Like, what you want us to tell us yes? Like, what do you want from us? And it was like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna call my pastor. I need to talk to wise counsel.
Mhm.
And it was like, I gotta do it. And so I trusted them. I put everything into place that I needed to talk to my personal enrolled, whatever. I have the best leaders in the world. And so they handled it like it was no worries. They handled it. That was the biggest obedience that I've ever done in my life, like to completely step away. But it was like, if you cannot step away, and I'm sorry, I know some of you guys are like brand new and you're like, no, please don't step away from your business for a month. Like, don't do it. I've been in business for 7.5 years. So, but it was a season that I needed to do. And when I first started this business, this is why we teach you guys to take a day off. Like, we teach it from day one. It's in our launch pad for people to take a day off to honor that Sabbath from day one. It's like, well, I didn't do anything day 1 through 6.
Mhm.
Well, day 7, I need you to rest, and then you come back in on day 1 again, and then you can get into it and do some self-evaluation, right? So that was a big thing. And when Alyssa said she was going to do it, she just wanted to talk to somebody who had did it. And I can tell that it changed some things, baby. Oh, I'm excited for y'all. Look at Jesus. I'm ready to get up. Y'all know my team mom turn on some shout music. Kelsey, you know how to shout.
Well, yeah. One thing though, that Mike did. So Mike did a Zoom, like a FaceTime with us, and he asked a question because she was kind of asking, like, the name of the retreat was Impact. Mm-hmm. And the question that she asked is, what does impact mean to you, and what type of impact do you want to have in 2021? Nice. And so she asked each of Pam, Cammie, Mike, and then while Cammie was on, Mark was in the background, and Cammie called Mark over, and so Mark hopped on, and like, it was crazy because every single corporate person that we asked were so aligned in their answer. It was like, it was creepy almost. And it was so cool to see that, and just like the type of leadership that we have in their hearts. Like, I don't know, like, it just made my heart so full. But one of the things that, like, when she was kind of asking about, how do you do it all? How do you kind of remain like having perspective, because it kind of feels like, oh, it's one promotion, then the next promotion, then the next promotion. Right. And he said, the question you have to keep asking yourself is, and I wrote it down, if it works closed its doors tomorrow, where would your relationship with Jesus be? Where would your family's relationship be? Like, where would where would that stuff be? And
that's what Mark said?
No, that's what Mike said.
Wow. Mike.
And I was like, dang.
Wow.
That's so true. Like, because, and that scripture kept popping up to me, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, what is it to gain the whole world, but to lose your soul?
Absolutely.
And so often we get so caught up in like what culture calls success, but
you're just like saying, you're regurgitating my words. It's crazy. Keep going.
But I just think that like that piece of it for me was just like, I have to keep that perspective, because I'm a person who, I can just get tunnel vision, and I can get so laser focused, and I have to like protect myself from myself sometimes, because I know what my tendencies are. And I think that if you can be self-aware in that, like, I was talking to Brittany during our coaching call, and it was like, she was saying, I can get very tunnel vision. And I'm like, the good thing is, that. So you just have to put boundaries in place to make sure that you can kind of maneuver through what that is. Like, if you know that you have a lazier mentality, like if you are kind of like naturally just somebody who's kind of like, you have to convince, then you have to put things in place.
Yes.
You have to put things in place to help yourself. Like, I am not lazy, but I am a distractor. So like, I'll just distract myself with a million different things instead of facing head on what I know that I should be dealing with. And so like, I know that. So I have to like talk myself through it. There's a really good book uh, that I'm reading right now. I don't know if you've read it, Rach. It's called Believe Bigger.
I had a friend that told me to read that like 2 years ago.
Okay. So I'm reading this, and she kind of refers to this as like little me and future me. And it's constantly this war in your mind of like what little me is saying and then what future me is saying. And she's like, some people like to call it like the devil and God, but like, here's the thing. There's no accountability in that. And I was like, dang, that's so true. Like, we act like we have no control if we say, oh, it's something else that's talking to us, right? But if we realize that those are our thoughts, but one's a small version and one's the future version of who we want to become, there's accountability in that. And that's saying those are mine. And I am like going through, I am taking responsibility for which thoughts I'm listening to. Because here's the thing, and this was a word for every single person on here. I don't care if you joined right now, or I don't care if you joined 7 years ago, but here's the truth. Every thought you think, you have a choice of whether you believe it. Every thought you think. So many times we're just like, well, I just think really negatively. No, you're choosing to believe the negative thoughts that run through everybody's mind. You're choosing to believe those things. And I think that all of the time we have a choice. And that's why the Bible says, take every thought captive.
You better speak.
Every thought. And so as we move forward, I used to play that victim role. I used to play like, oh, well, like, I just always tend to like have like this half glass empty. No, I was choosing to have that. And I wasn't being aware of the power of choice in those thoughts. So I'm not even answering your question. So I'm sorry.
You did. Well, you know what? It's crazy. So yes, I could ask you for concrete goals, but I think it's just that thing of true freedom, like really being a place of true freedom and really figuring out what real happiness is and what will really make you happy. Because when you really figure out what real happiness is, you will move and shake different. I was talking
For
to
sure.
somebody who was like, well, I make the money and then I spend it. And it's like, well, if you keep coming around, I mean, you have to forgive yourself. I did that. Like, who hasn't done that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I did that. But if you keep coming and you keep staying around, praise God, the money will keep coming. Glory to his name. So the money will keep coming, but it'll put you in a space to where you can grow. It's almost like an incubator where you're in this safe place where you can get better, where you can grow, and you're growing in Christ. Like, it's a safe space. Like, it's crazy. But I think the best part about it is we want you to learn. We want you to, I'm going to tell you to tithe. Like, it's good principles here. It's good soil here, and not every place is not like that. My job wasn't like that. I don't know about yours.
No, one thing Mark said, and let me pull it up, because we were talking, because when he was talking about impact was for him like even just putting a smile on somebody's face, but he was also like the impact that you have when you tithe. And he said it's not tithing, it's a return.
Yes, it is.
You're returning, like, it's not even yours in the first place. You're just returning it back to Jesus. And I was just like, dang, that is like such a cool way to put it, right? Like, it's technically called tithing, but tithing can stress people out. But if you just say like, I'm just returning this to Jesus. And Mike told me one of his goals, or not me, but when we were on the Zoom, he told us one of his goals was to live off of 50% and give 50% of what he makes. And I was like, dang. And then another girl asked a question to Pam and said, hey, Pam, money mindset question. And she was like, I really feel like I need to break through like $15,000. Like, that was her like blocker, like where her income was blocked. And Pam said, do you know, like, if I made $15,000, I would feel so broke. And I was like, and she was just like shook, because she's like, she wasn't even thinking at that level. And so many of us limit ourselves because we haven't seen that, but we also haven't intentionally sought it out. And like, are you seeking out people who are leveling up, or are you remaining in the circle where you make the most money so you can feel good about yourself? I know for me, I was like feeling decent. Like I didn't have student loans. Like before I joined the business, I didn't have student loans. Like I was like, oh, like I'm Gucci. Like I
Let me
am
get a
good.
dollar towards my student loans.
What?
Just let me get a dollar towards my student loans.
Right. But like I felt like good about that. But I was broke.
Yeah.
I was broke. Like I was like comparing myself and to people that I would not want to be. Why wouldn't I, and not comparing in a bad way, but like why wouldn't I seek to be around people who are forcing me to level up, who are forcing me to not be the smartest person in the room, or not be, because at that point you're not growing. You have no reason to grow if you already feel like you're the smartest person in the room. So I don't know, that was just like so cool to hear her say that. And then one thing she said and she said, listen, if you are not if you are capping out, or you stop growing your paycheck because of whatever reason, whether it's you feel greedy or you feel like you're not worthy of that, guess what? You're stopping your team from doing it too. And it's like sometimes we think, oh my gosh, like, I think that I just am not worthy. And it's like almost like this um
False
self
humility.
yeah, like false, yes, that's such a good way to put it. False humility. Like we think that we're being so humble, and we think we're being so like sacrificial, when it's like God never asked you to do that. God never limited you. God never said like what he said was is money in the wrong place is evil. He did not say all money is evil. And Pam said, cash is always flowing. So you need to be investing money in your business. You need to be spending it. You need to be tithing, because if nothing's going out, then nothing's coming in. The door is not open. And I was like, you're so right. Like so many of us, and I know I've done it. Like I've just held on to it so tight. It's like that little thing that slips through your hands. The little squishy thing. And like, yeah, it's kind of like we hold on it too tight, and you can't have it at all.
Whew, that's good. That is so good. If I made $15,000, I would be broke.
She said, I would feel so broke. I was like, dang.
Listen, I feel you, Pam. With the type of checks that personally seeing it with it works, I understand exactly how she feels. And it doesn't feel real until you experience it. But after you experience it, you have to put your, because this is what happened for me. This is totally off. I do got a few more questions. I'm gonna ask them. But I remember when the first time I saw a 5-figure check. I was a triple diamond, and I was like, ooh, insert income disclosure statement. Okay. But at first time I saw one, and I was like, I told Breon, I was like, if I can do this, I can't stop until other people see it. There's no way that a single mom yes, I had a degree, but a single mom with no sales experience whatsoever, none. Most people from my network did not buy anything. Like to this day, I don't really even hang out with them like that anymore. Because, and it's not anything personal. It's just like, we're just going in two different places. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to family's not even a big part of my business, right? Still love them to death, but no experience. And if I can do this with no experience, no real support, why can't they? Why can't my team? And why should I stop knowing that somebody needs to see this? Somebody needs to believe that there is more. There's more than food stamps. There's more than paycheck to paycheck. You can manage your money. You can be in a position to where your mom and them come for $5 and you can tell them no, unless Jesus told you to tell them yes. Okay. Like being in this position where you can bless the people that God told you to bless. You know what I'm saying? Like where you can go out. And I remember when when Kmart was still here. Okay. That's how long we've been in the business. When Kmart was still here and they used to go, I see Kmart not even here. I'm able to go pay off some things and I can't even do it because ain't no Kmart no more. But when I used to go pay off layaways, I want to be in that position to where when God moves my heart, I'm able to do that. I'm going to read you what what Alyssa said back to me. Sorry, y'all just getting in on our conversation today. She said, God spoke to me and used me so much during my time away to teach others what truly matters. He was speaking through me all weekend long.
Mhm.
That's obedience, y'all. Like, that's obedience. And that's crazy because I took my sabbatical not knowing that it would move her to take hers, which would move to change your life. Like that is a big thing, because when you open up your mouth to talk about this business, or to make that post, or to share about how you made an extra $50 thinking it's so small, but it's really big when somebody has a negative $50 in their account. And then it moves from that person to that person, and it changes people's lives, and you don't even understand where your obedience will completely shift not only your life but other people's. So
100%. 100% is so good.
special. All right, let's get into some color stuff. We got 18 minutes. Jesus. I've learned so much about colors from Kelsey, and so I do want to share with you guys. I want everybody to drop in the comments just so you can kind of see who's here. The first thing they do when they join the squad is they take the color personality test. So drop in the comments, what's your color combination? I am red green. You are
Red, blue.
I knew that. Oh, look at that. See, they going in. You see them coming through?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Let's see. I see a lot of yellow greens tonight. Yellow, blue. A lot of yellow blues and yellows. You see all these yellows? All right. So first question, so we got all these yellows, yellow combinations.
Yep.
Have you yellow, blue, or yellow, whatever, just yellow
Yellow.
with consistent?
No, go ahead.
Okay. What advice do you have about consistently moving forward for a yellow, regardless?
So yeah, okay. Let me preface it by saying, number one, you should never strive to be another color. You are your color. Okay. It's very important that you realize that. Now, where you need to grow is becoming the healthiest version of the color.
Good,
Okay.
good.
And I think that, as so often, like, I struggled with this too, because I'm like negative green, and like I really want to be green. Like I like every single time I've taken the test, like I take it hoping that like I'll show up at least 1% green, because literally, you guys, on my test, it's just zero green. Okay. And I think that I struggled with that for a long time, and I want you to know that there is no bad color. There is unhealthy versions of every color. And I think that red is put on this pedestal of being like this amazing color. But if we're being honest, it would be like an ice hockey game with us all slamming each other against the wall if it was all red. So like that's not okay either. And how I describe it is like a Thanksgiving meal. Like it's not a Thanksgiving meal just because you have the turkey. So if you all had a bunch of reds, like you're not having Thanksgiving meal. Like you got to have like the sweet potato casserole, you got to have the dressing, you got to have the everything, right? So every single color is so important. You just want to become the healthiest version of your color. So how can you operate best? And what color personalities do is it creates self-awareness. That's the most important part. Within self-awareness, then you also can start to learn about other colors, so you can learn how to communicate and how to speak their language. And that's really where the color personalities brings value. And I really wanted to explain that to you guys, because I don't want this to say like it to come off as one color is better than another. I want to talk about how every color can become healthier version of that color, and then how you can interact with another color, given if that person is a healthy version. Because there are just some people out there, it don't matter what color they are, they just mess up.
Yeah.
They need you, right? So like it you can say it's their color, but chances are it's just they're not in a healthy space.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to preface it by saying it. Okay, go back to the question about yellows. What was the specific
How
question?
can you help, or what advice do you have for a yellow to consistently move forward regardless?
So yellows and blues are both emotion led colors. Like you vibe like from your emotions, right? That's a lot of where your decision making happens. So one thing that I would tell yellows to do is, number one, to not let things boil up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because the tendency a yellow has is to kind of say everything's okay. Like, it's fine. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. I'm good. I'm good. What the heck is happening? Right? Like, that's like kind of how it happens is like, water doesn't boil until it's like 200 and what is it, 212. And so like it's not like 211 degrees, like it's good. And then all of a sudden 212 degrees happens and you got bubbles. And so I think that as a yellow, you have to learn how to communicate early and often. Okay. And don't be afraid of your emotions because oftentimes once you talk about it, it feels better, doesn't it? It just feels better to put it on the table and to get it out. And so stop acting like you're okay and start accepting your emotions and just say, hey, like, this is how I'm feeling. Guess what? And if you do it early and often, it doesn't become so big. It becomes really big in our heads when we don't share it. And so I think that like if you can just say like, hey, I'm feeling this way and learn how to communicate because nobody can read your mind. Now, because you as a yellow are very emotionally intuitive, you pick up on other people's emotions. Therefore, you expect other people to pick up on your emotions, and that just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. And so you get stuck in your head. And so, what I would suggest doing is start journaling. That would be really good for you. Start journaling and start like not pushing your feelings to the side, but dealing with them and facing them head on. And that will really help your upline or your mentor or even your sidelines and your downline understand how they can help you because just like you like to serve other people want to serve you too. And so don't be afraid of asking for help or being honest about how you feel because your feelings are valid.
So good. That was so good. So good. All right, so let's talk about these blues.
Yeah.
Any
Where
combination
my
of
blues at? Where my blues at, man? I love me some blues. Like seriously, y'all are so much fun.
all blue.
I know.
But
Yes.
all right, so let's tell me about facing the facts and facing the facts, but still winning.
Yes. So the beautiful thing about blues is we know how to have fun, right? We're the life of the party. And one thing is that happens though is we get really caught up in whatever it is we're doing. And one thing that I really love about the blue part of my personality is that it allows me to be very, very, very present. Right? Like I'm a very present person. Like whatever I'm doing, like I'm not even paying attention to the time. Rachel could have me on here for 2 hours and like I'm like, it's cool. Like I'm having so much fun, whatever, whatever. But like the thing is that that's also disrespectful to my family.
Mm.
And I think that like we have to as blues like be just understand that we're not naturally the most disciplined. And so to put boundaries and put a schedule in place and say, you know what, and have an end. Okay. One thing that I realized I'm not good on timelines, I'm good on deadlines.
Mm.
I'm really good on deadlines. Like if you're a blue, drop a one if you're a procrastinator. Like you work so efficiently when you are against the clock. But if you know, you can know for like 10 weeks that you have to do something, but you ain't doing it really for the last 2 days. Like that is just it. Like that's how we operate. And I always used to say, and when I was studying, I'm like, procrastination produces efficiency. Like I used to like live by that motto. And so I feel like as a blue, you kind of have to just know that about yourself and realize like I'm going to work in deadlines and kind of set the deadlines for myself and say like my deadline for doing this and I do it on a daily basis. So what that means is like my KPI list has to be done by 1 p.m. by 1 p.m. Right? And that way I'm not saying like cuz I felt very restricted and like confined and almost like claustrophobic in my own mind by putting like 9 a.m. I'm messaging. Like what if I don't feel like messaging? Then I'll do it whenever. I just have to get it done by 1. I just have to get it done by 1. And so I think for me that's the biggest advice is to kind of know your tendency to um you are really good at convincing yourself as a blue. We're really good at convincing ourselves that whatever it is um we want to do makes sense for us to do at that time. And so you have to know that sometimes you can lie to yourself. Sometimes you're lying to yourself. And And I don't know how to say that in a way where it sounds better than that, but we just have to be honest and say, yeah, that's really not true, because we can make anything sound good. We can make anything sound good. And that's what makes us really good about the business, is because we're quick on our feet. We're able to have the ability to make like anything sound good. People but don't use that on yourself.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so that was good. All right, so let's talk about these reds. Reds, stand up. Where we at in the comments? Is there a red in the house tonight? Stand up. All right, so let's talk about these reds. So, how do your advice for not doing too much, but still see? Nope, that's not my question tonight. I got it. Look, Holy Ghost just switched that up for me. Question tonight is, how do you teach a red or advice for a red to not be afraid of themselves?
Oh, that's a good question. I think knowing that the your um your determinedness or your passion or whatever you want to label that piece as, like your goal setting ability, your ability to be a goal getter, to know what you want and to go for it. People need that. People need that. And to know that you can do it in a way that you are activating people that wouldn't be activated without you.
Come on. That's good.
And if you can know that, and here's the biggest tip I have for reds, is to stop stating things as facts and start asking questions.
That's good.
Because if you state like, how many times in really this is almost every color, but reds are the most vocal about it. Like how many times have you gotten on a coaching call with somebody or a phone call with one of your teammates, like, this girl ain't doing anything, and I'm just gonna ask her, like, why aren't you doing anything, like why aren't you working, like why aren't, like, I just don't understand, like what is it gonna take, like you're just annoyed before you even get on the thing, because like this girl doesn't really want it, like this chick is just playing, she's clowning, like whatever. And so you get on and you're already annoyed, and instead of just asking, hey, tell me what's holding you back, like what do you really feel like is holding you back right now. And asking that question opens up the conversation for growth and to go somewhere versus you just condemning.
Mm,
Because as a red, one of the reasons we are successful is because we hold ourselves to really high standards. And we hold other people to those standards. And that's not a bad thing, but the way in which we do it can be very dangerous.
yes.
And so your approach to um, helping people, because at the end of the day, as a red, your core desire is to help them. And you are willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do to help them. That is why you shouldn't be scared of your red, because you are doing more than other people are willing to do to help them. You are speaking truth. You are having those hard conversations. Now, you have to do it in a loving way. You have to do it in a compassionate way. And when you figure that out, you still have the hard conversations, but from a place of love.
That's good. That's good. We only got 5 minutes. Real quick for the greens. How do you analytically succeed?
Oh, by not being so analytical. Oh my gosh, no, that was just like, oh, like I just spit that out and didn't mean for it to actually come out. But I think that this is not an analytical business. Now, you can gain a lot of knowledge from analytics, and you can understand, like, this is where I'm more efficient. This is, and you can become more efficient from analytics, but you can't run your business based on analytics, because this is a people business and you can't analyze people to death. And I think that as a green, one of the things you have to give yourself permission is to be flexible,
Mm,
to pivot, to say, you know what, like what what is steady and what is holding me in my roots is that this business is where I'm supposed to be. What is consistent is that I'm going to be adjusting and I'm going to be changing. What is consistent is that I'm working my business every day. What is consistent is that I'm taking a Sabbath and stick to and stand on the things that are consistent in your soul and are consistent in the business, and stand on those things, but be flexible in your methods.
Oh, Skip.
And I think that that's something that people kind of get so hung up on is the how, and the how is we're always figuring it out. The how is like what worked for me when I started the business. If I hadn't adjusted, if I hadn't changed, then guess what? I would be broke right now. I would be nowhere in my business. And so what we have to do is we have to understand that there are things that we stand on and that aren't changing, and rely on that, but be flexible about how you get there, and you'll see yourself grow so much. Like you will like love that piece of it. And you will learn to have it. And a healthy green to me is somebody who learns how to just do it, right? Because the concept of learning is in the field and not in a book, right? It's doing it, and it's not judging people. It's not like trying to put people in a box. And it's like one of the things I always say to my husband, because he's green, he's red green, but one of the things that we've talked about, because the red and the green are both guilty of this, is we don't have to win every battle to win the war. And I think that that's not just in marriage, that's in your business, that's in your relationships with your team, and like kind of letting some things go, and learning that like I don't need facts for every decision. I have to value faith, and I have to open up my emotions to feel with the people that I feel comfortable with. And progress is better than it's always better than perfection.
It's so crazy. That makes me think about this might sound real left field, but it makes me think about a counseling session we had with my pastor a few years ago. And she was talking about, how a woman is always ultimately in control, right?
Mm.
And what she said to me, it was crazy. It was like, you can get a man to do anything. Like you literally can get a man to do anything, but it's about that ability to be flexible and to make them even believe sometimes that they are winning. And that validity in them believing that they are winning is what truly gets you to the victory in the end. So they think they won, but you really won. So when you really can shift that perspective, that's what that made me think of. So
Yeah. And one thing that I will say, and this goes for every color, um, reds and greens a lot of times really want credit. Like, and not from like a pedestal, but like almost like in a self way. Like I want, like, why are you trying to take, why, like, I just told you that, and now you're repeating it and not giving me any credit for it, right? Like that can sometimes make us kind of feel a little frustrated. But one of the things that I, I, I read in a book, and this is really the goal of leading and coaching a team, is there was this guy, and the book is called Never Split the Difference, and it was written by a former FBI hostage negotiator, and it talks about negotiations and all of this stuff, just interacting with people. And one of the things he had to do before he was a hostage negotiator was spend time answering in a call center suicide hotline calls. Okay, so people would call in that were wanting to like just like having suicidal thoughts, and he was happened this day to be getting evaluated by his supervisor, and he was like nervous about it. And then he said that the person who called in for the call that it was getting evaluated was like one of the callers, like they all had like people who would call every day. Okay. Like they would just kind of be like serial callers. Like they would just call and call. And so they were kind of known throughout the call center. And he was like so excited when he got a call from like somebody who he knew and kind of knew the issues. And so he was like, oh, I'm about to kill this. I'm about to just do so awesome. Right. Like, and he was on the phone, and like at the end of the call, the guy was like, thank you so much. You literally saved my life. Like that was the best call I've ever had, blah, blah, blah. And he goes back to his supervisor's office and he's like, oh my gosh, like that was such a good call. Like he's feeling so good about it. And his supervisor sits him down and he says, that was the worst call I've ever heard. And he's like, what? And he said, at the end of the call, the guy said, you saved my life. What do you think he's going to do tomorrow? He's going to call back because you saved his life. The goal is to get them saying, I know how to save my own life. And that shook me because so often I loved hearing, I got like getting off of a Zoom, right? Like tonight, and you guys messaging me being like, that Zoom was so helpful. You're so awesome. No, I don't want you getting off this Zoom feeling that way. I want you getting off the Zoom feeling like, wow, she really empowered me to do the things myself, right? She taught me that I can do this, that I don't need somebody, that I don't need to listen to anybody, number one, but like the Bible, which is the number one self-development book. But like I don't have to do that. And I don't, and for a long time I was craving the coaching calls with my team because I wanted to feel good about myself. I wanted to have them say, gosh, Kelsey, you made me feel so much better, instead of me saying, wow, you're so awesome. Like, you know how to do all of this stuff already. Like, I like, in them saying, you know what? I don't need a coaching call with Kelsey. Like, I know how to do this already. And that was a really big shift for me. And I want you guys all to look at it that way when you're with it with your team, or you are on a call with Rachel. Like, how is she empowering you, and how can you ask her to empower yourself? Right. So that you can get off the call and say, you know what? That changed my life because I realized I could do it. Because I realized that the missing link was me, in my mindset, in my things that I can work on. And once I work on those, then I have so many other things that I can go change, and so many other people's lives that I can impact just through what I've been through. And that's what we started this out, is talking about the importance of your story. Stop minimizing the importance of your story. It is so important to talk about the BS that you've gone through, to talk about the hard times, to talk about the things that you struggle with. And listen, I know it's hard. I know I am not sitting here saying that that stuff is easy. But what you have to recognize is that what has moved you is somebody else's story. So you have to know that now it's time for you to be the move. It's time for you to be the person that that does that, just by sharing something that truly has happened. And when you recognize it's not about the ambassador diamond title, it's not about the house, it's not about that. And you know what? I've put all of those materialistic things on my dream board, and you know what? They left me feeling more empty than ever. Than ever. It's cool. People on social media give it likes, but does it fill you up here? What is that? What is that? What fills you up here? And once you figure that out, you recognize that it's like, I remember a point in my business feeling like I have to choose my business or spending time with my family. Like, it was like almost like sacrificing was what was necessary in order to be successful. And the more I sacrificed, the more people would look up to me, like, because they would be like, oh, she's willing to make sacrifices that I wasn't, or that she just worked so hard. What is that? What I want to do is I want to have a family life that's like this, a home life that's like this. And because it's so solid, that everything overflows from that, instead of me feeling like I have to take away something. I don't have to take away anything. It's overflowing. And that's what happens when you start empowering people, when you start speaking life over them, when you start calling out their gifts, when you start saying, you know what, let me, before I do anything, speak life over to somebody else. You know, that's what I do whenever I wake up and I'm just like, dang, I feel dreary. Like, cause I have those days, y'all. I have those days. You want to know the first thing I do is I send 3 people voice messages about how much I appreciate them. Just voice messages, just saying, I'm so grateful for you. And it gets me up. It's like an instant thing where I just am like, I'm so grateful for you. And I'm speaking gratitude into people. And like, listen, abundance starts with gratitude. I'm gonna close out, Rach, with this other thing that I want to read. I don't know why I'm reading all this.
Wait, 5 seconds. Give me 30 seconds of what is working for you. What is working? What is working for you? That doesn't
Everything.
need to work
So
for everybody on here. Okay,
so
guys.
everything, to be honest, just to be doing a little bit of everything, not a little bit, but like just to be like all in and say like I'm messaging, I'm TikToking, I'm reeling, I'm posting, I'm doing all of it. Like I'm just doing all of it because why not? Like why am I limiting myself to saying, oh well, just this works? I'm just doing all the things and seeing what sticks, like I don't know, it's kind of like what I did tonight for dinner. Like I'm just smorgasbording, like I just want a little bit of everything. And so I think that that's the beauty of doing a Sabbath. That's the beauty of having boundaries, is that um you do everything all in, right? Like when I'm all in, right? But I'm unapologetic about when I'm working. And I think that like that it gives you the freedom to do that when you have the Sabbath, when you have the boundaries, is like, all right, well, I'm working now, get out of my way. Like I'm about to come through. And so I think that's what's working for me is all everything. Like I'm not saying that everything, and I'm not green, so I don't like analyze where a lot of my new business is coming from, but I do think that majority of it is TikTok and Reels for my influencer application, and setting that up. One of the things I was actually talking to Cheyenne today about is just having people DM me after they filled out the influencer application and putting that on the influencer application and saying, DM me once you filled this out. And guess what? Those people are the ones who sign like that.
Absolutely.
The ones that follow the instructions and say, oh, she wants me to DM her. And I'm like, yeah, like, okay, you already know what's up. You already know how to.
You know, listen, I'm doing all the things too. Okay.
Yeah. And so I don't know, like I'm just not above anything at this point. Like I'm still messaging, I'm still doing the things, but like I'm also flexible. So I gotta figure out what's working. And I think that that's okay. That's like, it's all just kind of an experiment. And I think when you can be a little bit lighthearted in that approach and just not take yourself so seriously, then it comes so much easier and it's so much more fun.
Yeah. And I mean, wouldn't it be nice to just get it from all of them? Like, got that one from a post, got that one from a follow up, that one from.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. So um I feel like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I do feel like there's people on here, and you can drop it too. Um, if you feel like you've been struggling to get a promotion. Um, it says, hi God, this is from Hi God, one more thing. Hi God, I was just thinking, I sure would like it if you would just give me a lift, just a little boost, let me get that promotion I've been working for. I'd love to be the boss for a little bit. Or maybe giving me some awesome ideas so I really shine out in a meeting. Then the boss and everyone else would have to listen. I would love to have some people cheer for me for a minute. Everybody needs to be in charge sometimes. A little power never hurt anybody. Put me in charge. I'm ready. The problem is power positions in the spirit and power positions in the flesh look very different. I'm going to repeat that. Power positions in the spirit and power positions in the flesh look very different. I want to go up and get some long overdue recognition. And it seems like you're wanting me to humble myself and help somebody else do the same exact thing that I'm wanting to do. Get behind me, Satan. Why help them? They're not even nice. They sure don't love you like I do. Wow, not every position you ask me to take is going to make my flesh happy. Not every position you ask me to take is going to make my flesh happy. If they do, they probably aren't from you. I have to submit to people I don't want to submit to, do things I don't want to do. This is frustrating me. Look, God, isn't it my turn yet? How many of you guys have felt like that? I felt like that so much. Like, isn't it my turn? Like, can I just get a turn up in here? Isn't it my turn yet? Here's the thing. I can be put out at God, or I can be put up by God. I can be out, put up, put out at God, or put up by God. I have to get my soul under control. The more frustrated I get with you, God, for not being raised up, the longer it takes. I have to trust you. And trust isn't trusting until it looks completely wrong and we do it anyways. Trust isn't trust until it looks completely wrong and we do it anyways, just like Rachel did with her sabbatical, right? It looked completely wrong. Like nobody's ever done this before. Nobody's ever done. Nope, that looks wrong. Nope, nope. A month off my business, Lord, I'm crazy. Nope, nope. She did it anyways. She did it anyways. And I can only imagine that the feeling that she's getting right now, hearing me talk and seeing how she's influenced my life indirectly, is way more fulfilling than a lot of paychecks that she's gotten. And so, anyways, it says it's doing the things that look so beneath my position. It's doing the things that look so beneath my position, but to honor you and to meet the people you have for me, I have to take my position. I have to operate in your power, not mine. I might not like this, but if I don't take my position, I'll end up in a fetal position, and ain't nobody got time for that. It's not the position that brings the power. It's submitting to your position for me that allows the power to flow through me. I don't know. I read this before and it didn't hit me the same.
Say that part one more time. Say the position part one more time.
It's not the position that brings the power. It's submitting to your position for me that allows your power to flow through me. The way up isn't up, it's down. Wow. Forgive me, Lord, for trying to get something I haven't qualified for yet. I was heading in the wrong direction. Today, I do it your way. I lean into you, into your commands, and you never disappoint. And it's like that, humble thyself, humble thyself. And if I'm just being completely honest, and I just feel like I need to share this with you guys, my appetite for materialistic things had gotten out of control. And I'm saying that, and that's embarrassing. And I'm not proud of that, but I'm saying that so that you guys can recognize that is not what this business is about. It might feel like it sometimes because some other people are doing that. It might feel like, and my husband even said to me, and you guys might find this funny, he's like, you are even starting to look like, on the outside, somebody that is an it works person. And that is an it works person. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that was a gut check for me, because am I spending more time worrying about my eyelashes, my white hair, my spray tan, all the exterior things, more than I am my internal spirit, my internal look? Am I portraying the fruit of my spirit? Like am I as concerned about my internal look as I am my external look? And I want this to be a warning for all of you guys, because I didn't think I would be a person that fell into that trap. I was in denial. Like I prided myself on not being that person. And God humbled me. And I want you guys to know that it's easy. It's easy to fall into the trap, and it does not happen overnight. And that's why it's very dangerous, is because it's one step at a time. And so I just want to encourage you, and you guys have an amazing leader in Rachel, and she checks you guys, and I know that she speaks truth over this part of it. But I think that piece is very important, and it's so easy in the way that we work our business, which is through social media. If we don't check ourselves, if we don't stay close to the word, if we don't stay close to Jesus, we will fall into that trap. And even if you do, you can still fall into that trap. And just making sure that you have people in your circle, that you have people around you that are willing to say, "Hey, I think this is what's happening." We were and there can always be more, but it's never going to be enough to fill the hole that only Jesus can fill. And I want you guys to be working for a kingdom impact and not for a temporary impact here. So that's all I have for you.
That was let the church.
Let's put on the shouting music. I'll get up right here and just
Shout. Okay, come on.
start stomping.
That was shady. Hold on. We finna do some child music. Let me see if I can find the right one. My husband had to send it to me. Hold on. We finna shout. When you gotta listen to the commercials, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Gosh, I know these commercials. Hopefully that's the one that I like.
Who you putting on? Ricky Dillard?
Who?
You putting on Ricky Dillard? What are you putting on?
You better shout. Yes. Praise him. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, you can come to East Boogie with me and we can grab arms and take a lap around the church. Yes.
Hey, I'm here for it.
All right, pray you. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. That you make me miss you more. Like in this moment, I would normally be seeing you next month, and it'll make me emotional. But it's all good. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I know that our teams are like our babies, and we only let certain people hold our babies. And I just appreciate you trusting me. So I love you, Money Team. Okay. I love you, Money Squad. I really appreciate you guys for being on here tonight. And just I'm proud of you guys. If nobody's told you that, I'm proud of you guys for being on here. Like, that's huge. And just being committed to your business. I appreciate you, Cassandra, Jackie, Robin, Britt, for just having your videos on and being engaged. Like, I appreciate that so much. Like, I was talking to each one of you at certain points because your videos are on, and so I appreciate that so much. Do you want me to pray us out?
Yes, baby.
Dear Jesus, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you so much for just this time of fellowship. We thank you for just the beauty of friendship, Jesus. We thank you for allowing our hearts to be open, for teaching us things that are hard, but doing it with such grace, Lord. And I just ask that anything that spoke to somebody tonight, that they feel the conviction to change it, and they don't feel any any um any type of discouragement because that they see ugly things, but they feel a conviction just to change it. And we know that you are not a God of condemnation, Lord, and you don't want us to hang on to that or feel guilty or to live in our past, but you just want us to change it and become better and to become more like you. Lord, I ask that you would just allow people to see you through us and through our actions. I ask that we would just become better at seeing people the way that you see them, and we see them for their strengths and not their weaknesses. I ask that you would grow our character so that everything else around us can increase. We know that you are so much more interested in our character than in the things that we have, and that you won't bless us beyond what our character can sustain. And so I'm so grateful that you are working on us from the inside out, and that everything that we have is just a reflection of you working through us. And we don't want to do it without you, Lord. And so we thank you for just being there. Even when we don't, we push you away, you still pursue us. And we're grateful for that. I ask that you bless every single person under the sound of my voice, that you would just enlarge their territory, that you would increase them spiritually, mentally, and personally, and that they would feel your presence in the deepest way that they ever have. We love you so much, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.